Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Here I started recording at the loading screen, not that it takes time to load at all, because of the crazy clown, or the killer clown. It's one or the other, I always forget which. They're very fearsome enemies down at the bottom of the Zot levels. I was having some trouble sleeping, and if I sound a little off, it's because I've already taken my sleep supplements, and so I'm a little bit tired. But I do kind of want to take a more serious approach to this run. My last few have just sort of been uh, little bonkers for fun runs. So let's see. Let's pick a good name here. Uh, Eulathought. That sounds like a deep elf, some sort of elven name, Eulathought. Deep elves are just, they're so easy to blow up. Let's do another demon spawn. I've been having a lot of fun with demon spawn lately. And let's try a warper. Another interesting choice. Maces and hand axes eventually require quite a bit of strength to be effective. Uh, Pole arms, depending on whether you want to go two-handed or one-handed, it's either strength or dexterity. Swords, it's a pretty even balance of both. Short blades. Short blades are mostly dexterity based. Long blades, rather, are. Well, let's go axes. Why not? Alright, first thing, we're going to turn off everything except, wow, Warper's start with a lot of different skills. Okay, this is, I actually like this mix a little bit. We start off knowing apportation, and we can memorize, Blink, Shroud of Galubria, Portal Projectile, Teleport Other, and Passage of Galubria. Okay, this seems like a worthwhile start. And we start with, cool, Scrolls of Blinking and Darts of Dispersal. We will drop these darts and just keep the Darts of Dispersal. Normal darts are, well, we'll pick them up, but we'll quiver the Darts of Dispersal. Normal darts are very rarely useful. The only thing I think I use them for is blowing up fungal spores before they can hit me. I feel no compunction against using these darts early. They very rapidly outlive their usefulness. Pair of antennae, so we can detect monsters through walls. I've discovered that I like the ability to select a weapon from the beginning. It kind of gives me a direction to take with my game. But I also really do like wanderer type characters, or starting as a caster class and then just putting all of your initial points into the first weapon you find. That can be fun too. First level of the dungeon is generally pretty straightforward. We actually had a more difficult start than I'm used to. Although we probably could have avoided some of the danger there. I've been playing a little cavalierly, I feel. Oh dear. Cursed ring, huh? Scroll of Immolation. Well, we certainly don't want to use that. around now. Identify potion. Well, good. Good that we got rid of that. I guess we'll enchant this hand axe. We don't have any other choice. Scroll of recharging. Well, no scrolls for remove curse either. Well, okay, fine. We'll be a little bit weaker for a while. Or a little bit clumsier, as the case may be. But yeah, I haven't been giving things their due respect. Like that right there. I wasn't respecting things at all. Well, okay, that was that didn't last long. Let's try this again. You can see my the first page of my morgue. I believe I have several hundred characters at this point. So maybe Eula thought being kind of an elven name and going with a demon spawn was a poor choice. I think I will go with an elf this time, but this name no longer. If I can. I don't think it should start with a P. Nelson. And will be a high elf transmuter. I want to give this a shot. So our plan with the transmuter is these points in unarmed combat are fine, but we're going to turn it off for now. Oh, we need to turn it off. And we're just going to put points into transmutations at first. The first weapon we find, we're going to pick up. Not this club, because clubs are bad, and I don't think I want to do maces and flails. The first blade type weapon we will probably pick up, although we may not train it immediately. If we can find a long blade on this level, that would be ideal. The couple of points in unarmed combat will get us through the first level of the dungeon just fine, and that will allow us to find something useful. We have Beastly Appendage as our spell that we know, which gives us horns or hooves or claws. It's actually more useful for us as an elf than it is with some of my usual transmuter choices, namely Demon Spawn or Nagas, because we can get horns or claws or hooves. Whereas, like, Nagas can only... Oh dear, well, we miscast it, but we managed to kill it anyway. I generally, if I'm casting a spell sort of as a last resort, if I get a miscast, I don't try it again. I don't want to press my luck. We only have an 8% fail rate, but fate is a fickle mistress. Ooh, well, we'll use this whip for now, probably. Whip of Draining. Oh, the one thing I didn't want it to be. Draining, unfortunately, reduces the experience you get because it lowers the actual hit die of the monster that you're fighting. Too injured to fight recklessly, eh? Oh. We'll just punch him in the face. We really should be casting this spell before we engage in combat. Though I believe we do have some spell hunger associated with it. Yeah, not a lot, but some. Our intelligence is not awesome. 16 is pretty low. It's lower than any of the pure caster classes. But being an elf, that's still better than some races, wizards. So, wizards are the background with the highest starting intelligence. So, yeah, we're not hurting too badly as far as spells go, although I definitely will be putting all of my points into intelligence at this point. The plus side is that our strength is a 9, which is about as high as I really care for it to be, out of necessity, although if we gain points in strength, it's good for us as a transmuter. Transmuters, if you have not played the background before, start off with a Book of Changes. We can memorize sticks to snakes. I don't really want to mess around with that all that much. We'll probably memorize instead spider form at level 3. Yeah, because I want to be able to memorize ice form right at level 4 if I can. And blade hands. Ah, so good. Blade hands is the reason why one would go unarmed combat on a character instead of a weapon. There are several reasons to go unarmed combat, but blade hands is a big one. Basically, it just gives you crazy scaling ratios with both your strength and your dexterity as far as your melee combat is concerned. And so you can just mow through things with certain builds. For example, worshipping Chabriados as a transmuter with or any unarmed combat aficionado without with access to the blade hand spell. We feel agile, shucks. High elves get a point into either strength or dexterity each every 4 levels. Or, oh, I guess every 3 levels. That's interesting. That's better than I thought. That's kind of cool. What are our aptitudes, I wonder? Okay, we're good with long blades is probably what I want to go into, although staves would not be terrible. I would want to train our evocations in that case, and that's a little bit frustrating. I don't really want to go into evocations. We may end up worshipping Chabriados. This is a very real possibility. I'm not opposed to the idea. A buckler. I do like bucklers, but I think it's more important that we find a weapon and start doing damage before we train our defensive skills. It's nice to know that it's there, however. Okay, we're poisoned, but fortunately this particular trunk version shows how much we're poisoned. Or rather, how many of our hit points will be drained before the poison runs its course. It does also show you how much you're poisoned in a... oh, we still have horns, right. In a rough sense, if the poison indicator sort of up here beneath your stats, if that is... the closer it is to a pure red, the worse you are feeling, the more severe your poison. Generally, if it gets up to red, and you're lower than, say, level 10, you might want to consider drinking a potion of curing. Boop-a-doo. This is not new information to many of you, dear viewers, but I like to, in these early levels of the dungeon, go over some of the fundamentals for first-time players and viewers, as well as veterans. Even if you already know a fact about this game, it's sometimes nice to be reminded of it. Just, you know, because it's a tricky game. Though it is, to be fair, somewhat easier than many other roguelikes, such as NetHack and the original Rogue. Especially these last few trunk versions. I feel like the game has become easier as time has gone by. Or not... Well, yes, easier in that you're less likely to die out of nowhere. Traps are far, far, far less common than they used to be. Though Zot traps still exist and can ruin your day. This short sword will actually pick up here and equip it. The nice thing about Beastly Appendage as it is now, it used to be just like a weak blade hands. It would turn your hands into tentacles or something. Oh dear. This is probably... yes, good. If you have a large number of a single potion, it's probably either curing or heal wounds. Something combat-oriented that's beneficial. You don't find too many terrible potions or scrolls in the first few levels of the dungeon. Though that's not a hard and fast rule. Oh, but yeah, so Beastly Appendage didn't used to be able to be used. With any weapons is what I was saying, I think, when my microphone went out. I apologize for that. Okay. Da-da-da. I'm going to try and play a little more cautiously this game than I have been. Partly because I haven't been playing cautiously at all. Oh dear. Man, we are just being poisoned all over the place. At least adders feed you a knoll. Well, a knoll wouldn't be too much of a problem, but knolls, plural, could very well be. So we'll sort of explore more of the level, hopefully hit level 5. Oh, I say I'm going to play more cautiously, and then I fail to memorize any of my spells. So, I mean, Sticks to Snakes can be useful, but it's basically a summoning spell that requires you to switch what you're wielding, which I don't think is worth it. I mean, yeah, you can get adders and such early on, which is more powerful than your level 2 summoning spells, but it's still pretty bad. I don't like it. Blade Hands actually isn't too far off from being castable. We could just hold out for that. That seems reasonable. I hadn't planned on going unarmed combat this run because High Elves are really bad at it, but Blade Hands, even with just 2 levels in unarmed combat, Blade Hands is absurdly strong. I am going to put a level or 2 into short blades. Although I think we can go ahead and focus transmutations. We do have a good app. Just a level or 2, and just because it will cross-train with long blades, it'll give us a +4 aptitude, an additional +4. Although I think maybe it caps at +5, I don't know. Anyway, it will greatly increase the speed at which we train with long blades, because they're, similar. Same thing with like, maces and flails and staves and pole arms. Those are kind of in a group together. Maces and flails and axes also share a unique bond. Yes, that buckler. Though short blades and long blades only cross-train with one another, and not with anything else. Crazy youth! We've got a potion heal wounds. I feel confident. Ooh. Yeah. Ow. Oh dear. Paralyzation is probably our death. Oh, well, we were hasted. Yeah. If you're paralyzed against Crazy Youth, that's pretty much it. Piffle. Well, Nelson didn't fare very well either. Let's give it one more shot. This video is short enough that I can give one more guy a go. This one shall be named Crestor. Do I want to go Transmuter again? Is there anybody else that has reasonable transmutations? Not many. Merfolk, I suppose. Though their other spellcasting skills are somewhat lackluster. Lava orcs, you'll notice, are in the aptitude list, but they are not in the 0.14 trunk. I've tried them out on the online 0.15 test trunk, but or test version, but I haven't been too fond of them. They're kind of gimmicky. Not that many of these aren't gimmicky, but I don't like their particular gimmick, which is managing heat to... Oh, you know, we could do something entirely different. Let's go with a deep dwarf fighter. This seems like just a good, solid start to a game. I think it's axes that they're good with, and no other melee weapon. Although they're not the worst with long blades. I do like shields on deep dwarves. And long blades are more amenable to that than axes. Though eventually, in either case, we would want to go two-handed at some point. I mean, there's not a ton of difference between a 0 and a +1 aptitude. That shouldn't really sway your decision too much. Same thing with, a -1 aptitude is not that big of a difference from a 0 aptitude. It's not the worst thing in the world. Although with hit points, it's a little more relevant, since hit points are precious. Yeah, let's do a deep dwarf fighter with a long sword. Let's try it out. So deep dwarves, and I will actually probably only do the first level of the dungeon for this video, so I don't keep it. So I don't make it too terribly long. Deep dwarves do not heal naturally, but they possess natural damage shaving, which is a damage reduction that applies after all other damage reduction effects. We also passively map a small area around us, and we can recharge a device, such as a wand, by permanently expending 1 mana point, by reducing our maximum mana by 1. So, and we start with a wand of healing. So it would behoove us to not take damage as much as possible. Obviously, that's not really under our control for the first few levels of the dungeon, but eventually we will want to greatly reduce incoming damage, and thereby preserve our life total. Torment is a little bit annoying for deep dwarfs, as you might imagine. Although I think that the damage shaving even applies to that, so you don't lose quite as much health as you would otherwise. And we could always worship, I think the Shining One and Zin both provide some torment protection. Alternatively, Kikubakudka, the necromantic god, could provide us with some interesting options. I don't know for certain if Bjorgnor's Revivification works for us or not. I think that's what the spell is. It's a little bit of a tricky name to remember. It's a spell that causes you to permanently lose, I think it's something like 10 to 15% of your maximum hit points to instantly refill all of your hit points. Ooh, a +1 ring mail of poison resistance. That's quite good. It has gives us the same armor class as our current armor while giving us an additional point of evasion, and it gives us poison resistance. Poison is not super scary for us because the damage shaving effect basically makes us immune to all but the strongest of poisonings. However, if we wish to survive, we will need to avoid the strongest of poisonings, which can occur in places like the snake pits, or the spider's nest, or the swamp, namely 3 of the 4 branches that we will find in the lair. Alright, so that's a little introduction to Deep Dwarves, as well as a few failed runs with other characters. I will stop this video here at the end of the first level, and see you soon. I think I will probably record one more before I go to sleep. Though I am beginning to get a little sleepy. I think this run is calming me down. So thanks for watching, dear viewers, and I'll see you next time.